Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today I want to talk about something that I believe everybody should be doing, but it's also something that most people in the world believe isn't actually possible. What I'm talking about is choosing and creating your own character and building a personality that you want, rather than assuming that these things are natural and they're what you're born with. Now, before we get into that, because it's been quite a long while since the last video on this channel, I thought I'd let you know where I am in my journey of self-improvement and ultimately my attempt at staying clean from drink and drugs. I've got this app where I'm counting the days, the clean days, which is something I've never tried before. And yeah, I'm on 58 days clean, sober and smoke free, which, if I'm being honest with myself, is probably the longest streak I've had in 5 years maybe, even though I've definitely lied to my girlfriend loads of times. Now, in terms of my daily routine, I'm still following all the steps. Most days, there are some days where I go out early to film a video for my other channel, and I just don't have time to spend an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is going through my morning routine. Although that in itself is an excuse, because ultimately it would be possible, if I put enough effort into it, to get up earlier on those days to get through my daily routine. But yeah, most days I'm following my routine, still working out every day at home, working out most days at the gym. I have calmed down a little bit over the last couple of weeks with the gym because I've actually injured my shoulder. I think it's a rotator cuff injury. And yeah, I go to the gym and I tell myself I'm going to go easy, and when I get there, ego sets in and I'm just trying to increase the weight every time I go. And yeah, I've injured my shoulder, so I've been going to the gym less recently, because I know that when I go to the gym I'm just going to go all out. But yeah, still in the best shape that I have ever been, physically, mentally, spiritually. In terms of the meditation, over the last 2 days I've actually increased it to 20 minutes a day rather than 10 minutes. And I mentioned before that a 20-minute meditation just puts me in so much more of a present state than a 10-minute meditation does. So yeah, I've always wanted to step it up, but I wanted to focus on consistency. I wanted to make sure I'm doing 10 minutes meditation every single day, rather than jumping in the deep end and hitting 20 minutes straight away. But yeah, the last 2 days I've been doing 20 minutes, and I intend to do 20 minutes a day every day moving forward. Now, I've actually been trying to put on weight recently, but do it in a relatively clean way. I don't want to just start eating McDonald's, because it'd be an easy way to put on weight, but it wouldn't be lean mass. I'm really trying to get to 90 kilos. And the last couple of days I've been at sort of 89.3, 89.4. So it looks like I'm consistently over 89 kilos. Now, when I weigh myself in the morning, first thing, you should weigh yourself the same time of the day every day. And yeah, it looks like I'm actually getting close to that 90 kilo target. And yeah, I've just been trying to eat loads, but eat loads of healthy food, keep training. And yeah, I really want to bulk up, and then I'll probably think about cutting down to, get a bit more definition in my body. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Still staying clean, still staying motivated. The fact that so many of you guys have been in touch with your stories, is really keeping me going. And I know loads of you have been in touch to say that these videos are helping you. So, the fact that this channel is helping me is one thing, but the fact that it's helping so many other people is just mind-blowing, and it means that this channel is worthwhile. And yeah, I do plan to put content out more regularly on this channel, but yeah, I've just been so busy, and I don't want to just put a video out a day for the sake of it. I want to try and make the videos valuable. Anyway, so as I've already mentioned, today I want to talk about building your own character, essentially creating a personality that you want. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that these things are decided and they can't be changed. I'm sure there are some things that are, genetic and, that you can't change. When I say things like, you can do whatever you want, in your life, I truly believe that. But, don't let your mind come up with things that are going to contradict that, Like if I say to you, you can be whoever you want and do whatever you want. Obviously, if you're born without any arms and legs, you're not going to be, heavyweight boxing world champion. There are extreme examples where you can't do literally anything you want. But outside of the realm of those extreme examples, you need to realise, because it's true, that you can do whatever you want in life. And when it comes to building a character, building a personality, this is one of the things that you really, really can do. You know, you can decide what kind of person you want to be. And if you don't put work into deciding and creating a character for yourself, it will be decided for you. You know, the society we live in, you know, some people call it the matrix, you know, social conditioning will, you know, persuade you to be the kind of person that serves the matrix, you know, that it wants you to be, if you don't put effort into deciding who you want to be yourself. And wherever you are now, in terms of your personality, the kind of person you are, your character, has probably been determined by your past experiences, influences, you know, your upbringing. A quick example, you know, people are either extroverted or introverted, you know, they're either sort of risk takers, you know, positive, confident people, or they're, you know, introverted, scared, timid, you know. Now, someone who is extroverted, you know, someone who's confident, someone who's willing to take risks, they've probably been brought up in a situation where, you know, their parents might not have shouted at them every time they sort of stepped out of line or done something, you know, out of the ordinary. You know, they might have been in a situation where their parents encouraged them to try different things, encouraged them to come out of their shell, you know. So, you know, from a young age, they've learned that coming out of your shell and trying new things and going against the grain, you know, isn't going to kill you. It's, you know, encouraged, you know. So then as those people get older, they've, you know, it's ingrained in them that it is okay to take risks. It is okay to do things that are out of the ordinary. And a lot of the time, people that are like that end up getting more results. You know, if you're more confident, you're going to get more results in business, in, you know, chatting to women and that sort of thing. And a lot of that literally stems back to, you know, their upbringing, how they've been brought up. You know, on the other hand, someone who's very introverted, someone who's very timid, they might have been brought up in a situation where, you know, they've always been told to not be too loud, you know, not live out of their shell, not be embarrassing. You know, they might have been shouted at every time they step out of line, rather than, you know, when they do something wrong, having it explained to them why they shouldn't be like that. They might have not been encouraged to come out of their shell and try new things, you know. So it's ingrained in them that they should be quiet, you know, sit in the corner, like not live out of the ordinary, you know. And then as those people try and grow up, they're less inclined to take risks, less inclined to do things that are out of the ordinary. And then they're not going to have such success with certain things like getting to know women, business, you know, because they're not playing to win, they're playing to not lose. Whereas the extroverted person has learnt that you should always try and play to win, not play to not lose. Now, another thing that people kind of assume is genetic and, you know, is out of your control is if you're overweight. You hear it a lot where someone will be overweight and then it's like, oh, but my whole family's overweight. You know, we're big boned. We're just a big family. It's, you know, genetic. Now, I'm sure there's probably some truth to that, but if you think about it, all right, so if you're overweight and your parents are overweight and your grandparents are overweight, could it not be that, you know, when you're a kid, your parents are the ones that feed you? So if they've lived their whole life in a habit of overfeeding, then they're obviously going to overfeed you. And the reason that they're overweight and they've lived a life of overfeeding is because their grandparents were overweight. And, you know, so it's just a pattern. It doesn't necessarily mean it's genetic. So, you know, if you are overweight and if deep down you would prefer not to be overweight, don't allow your mind to persuade you that, oh, you know, you're just overweight because your family's overweight. Another thing is like finances. You know, so many people out there, they sort of assume that they can never be rich because they haven't been born into a rich family or they don't live in a rich area. Now, there is some truth in that. If you come from a poor background, you live in a certain area, you'll certainly have to work harder to become rich if that's what you want. But don't ever allow your mind to persuade you that it's impossible. You know, you're not naturally a poor person, and being poor isn't even like a personality trait, but it's another thing that people just assume is like out of reach, when in fact anyone can become rich if they put enough effort into making money and, you know, using that money wisely to make more money, and then end up being rich. So yeah, a lot of what we consider our natural situation, our natural character, our natural personality isn't natural at all. It's from our, upbringing, essentially, from our influences, from our background. Now, a lot of what governs how we live and who we are is society itself. Some people will call it, social conditioning. Some people will call it the matrix. We're all just a cog in a machine. And if you think about it, society does kind of decide how we live our lives. It tells us that we need to go to school and study hard, and the things that they teach us at school just so happen to be subjects that then are going to turn us into a cog in the wheel of the machine, of the matrix. So it's kind of self-serving. It tells us that once we leave school, we need to get ourselves into a job, a high paid job, high as paid as possible, and work hard, and these companies that we're working for are owned by the rich. A lot of society, it's sort of, when you think about it, it's all aimed to serve the rich, So yeah, you start working for a company, earning money for the rich. Then society persuades us that it's a great thing to get yourself a nice car. A lot of people, well, most people, when you get a car, you end up getting in debt. Car finance. Who gives you the debt? The rich people. Who earns the interest off of that debt? The rich people. Then, it persuades us that, everyone should strive to own their own home, which, let's be honest, we're not buying a home for cash. We're getting ourselves into a 35-year debt from the banks that are governed by the rich. And then once you're in 35-year debt of mortgage, then there's definitely no way of you leaving your job, because, you need to pay your mortgage. So it's going to keep us in our jobs, keep us being a little cog in the machine of society. Society tells us that we should go out at the weekend and spend our hard-earned money, some of us hard-earned money, whatever's left of it once we've paid all our bills and stuff, to enter establishments that are owned by the rich. And obviously they charge us loads of money to enter these establishments. A lot of these establishments will serve us alcohol at an extortionate rate. So we pay loads of our money out to poison our bodies to make ourselves feel good. And then when we've poisoned our bodies, we might have enough courage to approach women and maybe, if we're lucky, find the one, settle down and have children, which will then get brought up as another cog in the machine of society. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going to school, studying hard, getting a good job, owning a home, if that's what you want to do. But you need to identify that society is sort of governing how we live in our lives, as well as our upbringings, our backgrounds, and our influences as we're growing up. Society will tell us that, instead of making ourselves healthy to make ourselves feel good, we should be driving a nice car, buying a nice watch, spending loads of money on expensive clothes, when really and truly they're not going to make you happy. They're just going to make the rich richer, because it's the rich people that own these companies that sell us these things. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting a nice car, a nice watch, nice clothing, but you need to identify, are you really doing that because you want it, or are you doing it because society and the world we live in has persuaded us that that's going to make us happy? Because ultimately that will not make you happy. Are you spending money that you don't have on things that you can't afford to impress people you don't like? Because if you are, then why are you doing that? Probably because the society we live in tells us that that's what's going to make you happy. And what makes it worse nowadays is you've got social media. So when you've got your nice car, you post it on Instagram so that other people can see it. When you're wearing your nice clothes or your nice watch, you post it on Instagram so that other people can see it. So then not only have you persuaded yourself that these things are going to make you happy, even though they're probably not, you're also helping the matrix by persuading other people who haven't yet got those nice things that they need to get them to make themselves happy as well. And the more people that buy these things that aren't going to make them happy because they think it's going to make them happy means even more money for the rich, who are the people that own these companies that sell us these nice things that aren't going to make us happy, but we think are going to make us happy. So try and identify in life, are you becoming one of these NPCs or non-player characters? When you're playing a video game, I don't play video games, but when you're playing a video game, you've got the character that you control, but then you've got loads of other characters within the game that aren't being controlled by anyone. They're just being controlled by the game itself. And that's how most people in the world live their lives. They're NPCs, non-player characters. They're just walking around, they think they're living their life, but they're not. It's being governed by the matrix, it's being governed for them, and they're just living their lives at the whim of society itself, or just governed by their character that has been built by past experiences and influences, which in themselves might have been governed by society. Now, you can't live completely out of the matrix, out of society, out of social conditioning, but you need to, as I say, identify what things you're doing because you want to, and what things you're doing because you've been persuaded to, because it's the norm, because it's what society wants you to do. Personally, the things I'm focusing on in terms of building my character right now, and I've written a list, are I want to be healthy. Instead of being a down and out drug addict, I want to be healthy. Years ago, it was quite easy for me to persuade myself that I just one of them people that likes to have a laugh. I like to get wrecked at weekends. It's just who I am. It's my personality. When in reality, it's not. There was reasons why I was being unhealthy. Persuade myself that didn't have time or knowledge or money to eat healthy food, when in reality it was just that the convenience of McDonald's drive-thrus everywhere, which are owned by the rich, it was the convenience of them. That's why I was eating unhealthy food. Persuading myself I didn't have time to prepare decent food in the morning and take that to work with me. It was so much easier to just go through a drive-through a couple of times a day and eat junk. Persuaded myself that I wasn't that kind of guy that liked exercising, didn't have time for exercise, when that's nonsense. Especially as a man, when you're exercising, you're making yourself stronger day by day, it's great. It feels good, and everyone's got time for exercise. How long does it take to get down on the floor now and do 10 press-ups? 30 seconds, if that? Everyone's got time to do some exercise, every day. But, years ago, I persuaded myself that I didn't want to be healthy. Well, right now, one of my main goals is to be healthy. Next, I've written down to be big. And obviously, I don't mean high body fat. I mean, I want to be lean and big, which obviously I'm able to achieve by eating enough and working out enough. Whereas years ago, I sort of persuaded myself that wasn't for me, I was what would be considered skinny fat. So I was skinny, but I also had a belly, because I was eating junk. Well, now I want to be as big as I can. I'm definitely not going to be looking at performance enhancing drugs or steroids or anything like that, because ultimately this whole journey is about me not taking drugs. But yeah, I want to try and get as big and muscly as I can. That's a goal of mine right now, instead of being an unfit mess like I have been most of my life. I want to try and live my life to be free. I don't want to be in debt with banks. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have car finance. I don't have loans. I don't have much money, but I don't want to be tied down in any way, to be honest. I want to be free to move and do whatever I want. I want to be in control of my emotions. My whole life, basically, I've been an emotional wreck, very easy to lose my temper, but then also, very easy to be scared and allow my emotions to hold me back in that way. So, one thing that I really want to build in terms of my chosen character is, having control of my emotions. Things like meditating and stuff is key to that, as well as, just living a healthy life in general, because it's amazing how much your diet and your health controls, how your mind works and how your emotions, do or don't get the better of you. I want to be inspiring. Now, the way I see it in the world, in general, you're either someone that people would like to be like, or you're someone that people wouldn't like to be like. And I want to be someone that people aspire to. I've been lucky over the years that, loads of people have got in touch and said that I am an inspiration to them, from my car channel and, even from this new channel, which is awesome. It's great to hear that people look at you and they're inspired by you. Yeah. Now, when I was younger, the people who I thought I sort of was inspired by were, losers. Let's be honest. You'd see someone that you'd sort of say they were a strong person. When I look back at them now, in reality, they were just losers that were willing to lose their rag at any given moment. People that don't take any crap from anyone. They were the kind of people that I looked up to. But now, when I look back, they're actually the opposite, because they're people that aren't in control of their emotions. They're people that are willing to lose themselves over little things, just so that they come across as being strong, when emotionally and mentally they're very weak. So I want to be the kind of person that people find inspiring. I want to be friendly to everyone even if they don't deserve it. Now, your ego will sort of tell you that certain people, people that do you wrong, people that, your mind will tell you that they don't deserve for you to be friendly to them, I want to be in a position where I'm friendly to everyone, even people that don't deserve it, because it's more important for me to be the person that I want to be than it is to get revenge on people that I feel deserve me not to be friendly to them, if that makes any sense. And that's how actual, confident, strong people live their lives, They don't need to get the ump and be unfriendly to people, They'll be confident to anyone, be friendly to anyone, even people that don't deserve it. Because ultimately, how you are with people is way more important than how they are to you, if you're a really confident person, And the last thing I've written on this list is I want to try and be attractive, outside and inside. And I don't mean attractive like what you see on Instagram, well-groomed and, big muscles. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm well overdue a beard trim and stuff. I do want to try and make myself look presentable, but I mean, on a deeper level, I want to be the kind of person that walks down the street with their head up, someone who's confident, someone who's sure of themselves, someone who's free from outcome, living in the present moment, that kind of attraction. And I do believe that, I'm getting better at that sort of thing as I go on, as I get more healthy, as I get more strong, as I get bigger, all these things tie into each other. And, I believe that if I focus on them things, they're going to build me into a decent all-round kind of person. And that is what it's all about, building a character, building yourself into the person you want to be, not allowing the world to govern your character, literally creating your personality as if you're on a computer game and you're building the best character you can. Now, crucially, I don't see these things as a thing in the future. It's not like I want to get healthy, I want to get big, I want to get confident, I want to get attractive. Obviously, I want these things to be on an upward trajectory because momentum and consistency is important. You're either on an upward trajectory with whatever it is you're trying to do in life, or you're on a downward trajectory. Even if you think you're running flat, chances are you're on a downward trajectory and you just haven't realised it yet. So although these things are constantly improving, I don't look at it as I'm going to be healthy. I look at it as I'm a healthy person now. Yeah. I want to get big, but I don't look at it as I want to get big. I look at it as I am bigger than I have been in the past. I am more confident. I am more attractive. I am more free. So even though these things are on an upward trajectory and I'm hoping that they improve in the future, I'm still looking at it now in the present moment. I'm not looking at it like, one day I'm going to be this, one day I'm going to be that. It's like, no, now. And then that is what enables me to work out every day now. Eat good food today. Be more confident today. Because I'm not allowing myself to see it as some future thing that I'm going to get to. It's not about the destination. There is no destination. You in a sense, you're never going to get to your goals, but you're already there, if that makes any sense. And look, although I've said that, the society we live in persuades us that we should have a nice car, a nice watch and nice clothes, don't get me wrong, I would love to have more classic cars in my fleet. I would love to one day own my own home, maybe. I would love to, own a nice watch, expensive watch, but not at the expense of those traits that I listed. I don't want to be an unhealthy, small person that's not in control of my emotions, someone that's not inspiring, someone that's not friendly or attractive, and then have, loads of money and a watch and nice clothes and a big house and a nice car. No way. Because they are nowhere near as important as building up a character, who you are. Yeah, I would rather be all those things I've listed, healthy, big, free, in control of my emotions, and not have loads of money, not have a nice watch, not have nice clothes, not have a nice car. Building your character should be way more important than building your assets. But what you'll find is that if you are the kind of person that is striving to better yourself, then you'll also be better in your life, and those other things will come along as well. And I want to stress again that this idea of natural personality it's a load of rubbish. If you're still sitting there thinking that you can't change the way you are, if you're an introverted, shy person, you can't change yourself into a confident person, believe me, if I didn't work on myself and start looking at this self-help stuff, over 10 years ago, I wouldn't have met my girlfriend. I literally used to study how to be more confident, how to approach women. And I got to the point where I was nowhere near where I would like to be. I'm not the kind of person that if I was single, I'd be walking up to every woman in the street and saying hello. But I ended up being a million times better than I otherwise would have been. Everyone who meets me is so shocked to know that I'm socially awkward, that I'm introverted. But it's because I've worked on myself that I've got myself to the point that I am now. And it's because I will continually work on myself that I will get to a better position than I am now. Obviously, it's easier to not try and change your personality, to not try and build yourself a new character. It would have been easier for me to just carry on taking drugs all the time. It would have been easier for me to just believe that where I was at is where I'm going to be. It'd be easier for me to not work out every day, not eat healthily. But it's not about what's easy. It's about what's right. This is your life. You should be the most important person in your life, and you should be building yourself up to be the kind of person that you want to be, and to be the kind of person that other people look up to you and they want to be as well. Now, if you've got a lot of people around you that would find this stuff weird and a load of rubbish, you don't need to tell them. You don't need to tell them what you're doing. You need to make you the focus. Concentrate on what you're doing. Don't worry about what other people say. You don't need to prove anything to anyone else but yourself. And while you are improving yourself, don't forget, never fall into the trap of building an identity out of, reaching your future goals. Yeah. Always look at it from the present moment, because the present moment is all you have. The future isn't real. And even when it becomes real, it'll only become real when it becomes the present moment. And if you're focusing on the now rather than, your future goals, there's less chance of you allowing yourself to put these things off. These changes you want to make, you want to be doing them now. Yeah, if you want to get more healthy, you need to be eating healthier food now, today. If you want to get bigger, you need to be lifting weights now, today. If you want to become more confident, you need to be getting yourself out of your comfort zone, saying hello to strangers now. Because if you're waiting for a future time for these things to happen, they will never happen. If you don't strive every day to build your own character, to build your own personality, to build yourself up, to be the person you want to be, then society will step in and it will decide who you are, along with your past experiences, influences, your upbringing. All these things will come together and they will decide who you want to be. It's not going to happen without you actually actively building this character. So, have a think about it. Sit down and think, who do I actually want to be? And when you come up with these things, definitely identify what things are coming up in your head that you truly want to be part of your character, and which things you've been persuaded that you want to be part of your character just by, society and the life you're living. Write a list like I did. Literally write down if you could build a character from scratch, what kind of person you would be. And then take steps every day to become the person that has those traits that you've written down. If you want to become more healthy, get on YouTube and find videos about being healthy. If you want to be bigger, get on YouTube and find videos that show you what exercises and stuff you want to be doing to getting bigger, what diet you need to be consuming to get bigger. If you want to become more confident, get on YouTube and find videos that are going to teach you how to become more confident, etc., 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 etc. And then once you've got the knowledge, make use of it by taking action and get yourself out of the trap that tells us that we can't build the character that we want to, and get out there and build yourself into the character that you want to. Now, do feel free to put in the comments what traits you want to incorporate into the character that you're going to be trying to build. And also, for any of you guys that have been actively trying to build your own character over a long period of time, put your experiences down in the comments, because it will probably inspire some other people to improve their lives. But for now, I think that's enough waffling for one video. I'll be back very soon with another video based around this idea of self-improvement. But until then, hope you enjoy the rest of your day.